It started with a whisper, and then exploded into the biggest emotional firestorm the internet's seen since the King Von case first rocked the culture. After years of silence, confusion, and unanswered questions, Von's mother, Miss Tisha, has finally broken her silence. And what she said has fans, family members, and even Lil Tim himself completely shook. In an emotional livestream that had over 100,000 viewers tuned in within the first 10 minutes, Von's mom didn't hold back. She spoke about loyalty, betrayal, fear, and the pain of losing a son in the public eye, while everyone else played politics, dropped diss tracks, and tried to rewrite the narrative. Her words, straight from the heart. "I watch people say they loved my son and then turn around and use his name like it was a brand," she said, eyes red, voice cracking. And just hours after her emotional confession hit the net, Lil Tim, the man at the center of Von's death, did the unthinkable. He went live not to diss, not to defend, but to break down. Fans couldn't believe what they were watching. Tim, usually cold and cocky, sitting in a parked car, voice shaking, saying, "I didn't want it to go like that, I ain't even sleep right since." Some called it damage control. Others said it was the first time they saw remorse. Meanwhile, OTF, silent for weeks, suddenly dropped a cryptic Instagram story that had fans speculating. Is retaliation back on the table? This ain't just rap beef no more. This is family pain, raw emotion, and a truth that's been buried too long. And now that Von's mama finally said her piece, there's no putting the lid back on this one. What happens next might just flip the whole story upside down. It didn't take long for the internet to spiral out of control after Miss Tisha's livestream ended. The comment section was a war zone. Half the fans were in tears, saying it was about time somebody from Von's bloodline spoke up. The other half clutching onto every word, trying to decode hidden messages, questioning who she was really pointing fingers at. Because let's be real, she never dropped any names, but the energy, it was clear as day. "They used my baby," she whispered at one point, voice trembling. "All these people shouting, 'Get back, gang,' but where was they when I needed help burying him?" The silence after that sentence, you could feel it through the screen. People started pulling receipts within the hour. Old footage of Von's funeral resurfaced. Photos of who wasn't there got reposted. A blurry pic of Dirk outside the cemetery started circulating again, captioned "Too little, too late," and before long the timeline was back in chaos. OTF's loyalty was once again under fire, and Miss Tisha's words were fuel on an old flame that never fully burned out. But what made everything hit harder this time was the unexpected shift in Lil Tim's energy. Known for being unapologetic since the 2020 incident, his sudden breakdown caught everyone off guard. When he went live that night, sitting low in a dark car, you could barely hear him over the wind outside. "Y'all think this SHT easy," he said, eyes low, voice breaking. "Y'all don't know what it's like to walk with this weight every day. I ain't out here celebrating, I'm surviving." That live hit different. It didn't sound like trolling. It didn't sound like a flex, it sounded like guilt. The reactions were immediate. YouTubers like Candidly Cassie, Hassan Campbell, and even Say Cheese jumped on it fast. "This ain't the same Lil Tim," one host said. "I think that boy been carrying something for a minute." TikTok was flooded with reaction clips, side-by-side edits of Von's mom and Tim's live, both crying, both broken, both in pain over the same lost soul. Even people who used to defend Tim started switching up. "Maybe this SHT ate him alive," one user commented. "Maybe he didn't really mean to, maybe Von ain't the only victim." Meanwhile, in OTF land, things were boiling. Dirk hadn't said a word publicly, but insiders claimed he was not happy about the timing of everything. Word on the street said he felt blindsided, like he was being lined up for blame without even being mentioned. And if that wasn't enough, some fans started pointing fingers at him too. "Where was Dirk when she needed help?" tweets read. "All that money, but Von's mama speaking like she got left behind." The pressure was mounting, and it didn't help that not everyone in OTF was on the same page. Mewup, still behind bars, posted a cryptic message on his story. "It's too late for peace." Nobody knew exactly what it meant, but it set the internet ablaze. Was it a warning? Was it aimed at Tim, at Dirk? Or was it aimed at Von's own mother for stirring the pot again? Theories flew fast. The family was already divided, but now the fans were starting to feel that same split. Behind the scenes, people close to Von said the drama had been bubbling for a while. Apparently, Miss Tisha had been trying to get answers from OTF for years, not about what happened that night, but about what happened after. Word was she'd asked multiple times to meet with Dirk privately, but kept getting told he busy. She wasn't chasing clout, they said, she just wanted closure, and when it never came, she chose to speak up in her own way. She didn't want to go public, a family friend told a small YouTube channel, but at some point, pain turns into truth, and she was tired of being quiet. That's when things took an even darker turn. Screenshots started surfacing from a burner account that fans claimed belonged to Lil Tim. The tweets were short, almost like journal entries. "He haunt me. I didn't want that. He was fast. I was scared." If those tweets were real, they painted a whole new picture. Suddenly, this wasn't about street politics. It was about two young men caught in a split-second moment that changed everything. But not everyone believed the remorse. Boosie jumped on Instagram Live saying, "Man, don't fall for that. That boy ain't crying over no Vaughn. That's heat calming down and he feel it." Other rappers chimed in too, some calling Tim's breakdown real, others calling it strategy. And then there was Asia Doll. She hadn't spoken publicly on Vaughn in months. After their very messy and very public history, fans thought she was done speaking on his name. But just hours after the live streams went viral, she posted a single tweet, "Told y'all, they ain't love him FR. No context, no follow-up, but that one line, it was enough. Enough to bring her back into the fold, enough to make fans speculate all over again about what really happened behind the scenes during Vaughn's final days. The energy shifted once more when an old clip of Dirk on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast started circulating again. In the clip, Dirk said, "I don't cry in public, that SHT don't mean nothing to me." That quote, once celebrated as gangster, now hit the internet different. People were like, so Vaughn's mama crying, Tim crying, but the one person who was supposed to ride hardest for Vaughn been silent and cold. Pressure on Dirk started mounting. Fans began flooding his comments with clock emojis, snake emojis, and messages like, "Your silence loud." Some begged him to speak up, others told him it was too late. At one point, someone posted a video mashup showing every moment Dirk had shouted out Vaughn since his passing, and how many of those moments came attached to a promo or album drop. Did he mourn his brother or market him? One TikTok creator asked in a viral post that racked up 1.2 million views overnight. Back in Savannah, sources close to Lil Tim claimed he hadn't been himself since the livestream. One person said he'd gone ghost, stopped answering calls, and was seen pacing around the same neighborhood he grew up in. He got that look in his eye, the insider said. Like he wished he could rewind it all. Miss Tisha, on the other hand, stayed quiet after her livestream, but the impact of her words didn't fade. In fact, it sparked a new kind of wave, one where mothers who had lost sons to street violence began speaking up. One woman in Baton Rouge went viral for posting a tearful video saying, "They love our boys when they rappin', when they mackin' money. But when they gone, it's us mothers left with the pain. Nobody cares about us." Suddenly, it wasn't just about Vaughn. It was about every rapper lost to violence and every mother left behind with unanswered questions. By the time OTF dropped that cryptic Instagram story, just a black background with a white clock and the words, "Don't worry." Time reveal all, it was too late to control the narrative. The fans already had theories, the blogs already had content, the pain was already back in the spotlight, and the story wasn't gonna fade anytime soon. This wasn't about who was right or wrong anymore. It was about who was real, who was fake, and who was finally being heard after being silenced for far too long. The days after OTF's cryptic time reveal all story were filled with silence, but it wasn't the peaceful kind. It was the type of silence that makes you nervous, like something big is about to drop. Fans were watching every move from everyone tied to the story. And then out of nowhere, someone nobody expected stepped into the conversation. Vaughn's sister, Kayla B. She had stayed quiet during the live stream. She hadn't reposted her mother's video or commented publicly. But that changed when she hopped on live and delivered one of the most emotionally charged rants the internet's seen this year. Tears streaming down her face, she looked straight into the camera and said, "Y'all love playing in my brother's name like this. SHT is a storyline. That's my brother. That was my twin. And I'm tired of all these fake narratives, fake crying, fake apologies." Everyone knew who she was talking about. No names were dropped, but the tone was loaded with enough bullets to hit everybody. Tim, Dirk, even her own family. I don't care who mad. If you wasn't sliding when it counted, don't slide your way back into the convo now. And that's when things started spiraling. Hours later, Lil Tim's affiliate posted a video of him sitting in a studio, no shirt, headphones on, eyes closed, rapping what fans are calling his confession freestyle. The snippet was raw. I ain't asked for the war / I was scared like a boy / but y'all crown me a demon / so I play my lil part. That one bar shook the net. Was it remorse? Was it a chess move to control the narrative? People were split. Some said he was finally telling the truth. Others said it was manipulation wrapped in melody. Meanwhile, Vaughn's old friend BJ, who had remained low-key since Vaughn's death, posted a rare message. Y'all forgot who had the chain on. Who bled that night? Stop playing with the pain. That caption was paired with a photo of his arm still scarred from the night Vaughn was killed. It reignited all the arguments from 3 years ago. Who really stood for Vaughn when it mattered? Who ran, who froze, and most of all, who cashed in? That's when the unexpected happened. A private email between Miss Tisha and OTF management leaked. Nobody knows how it got out. Some say it was hacked, others say it was someone close trying to expose the truth. But the email was raw. Tisha had written, "I'm not looking for a payout, I just want honesty. I want to sit down with whoever was there. I want to understand why my son didn't make it back home." She even mentioned that she had tried to meet Dirk in person but was redirected every time. "It's like y'all trying to protect a brand and I'm just trying to bury my pain," she wrote. That email alone sent shockwaves. Even the most loyal OTF fans had to pause. Was Vaughn's mom really iced out like that? Why would a mother have to beg for a conversation about her own son? In response, one of OTF's producers posted a vague message. "Y'all don't know the full story. Y'all ain't seen the contracts." That word contracts set the internet on fire. What contracts? Was there a documentary deal behind the scenes? Merch money? Album rights? Suddenly, people started asking hard questions. Was Vaughn's image being protected or profited from? The conspiracy theories exploded. A Reddit thread claiming to expose the Vaughn monetization web hit 50,000 upvotes in 24 hours. It laid out every product, every song, every tribute video released since Vaughn's passing and estimated the earnings. Some fans were disgusted. "They turned bro into a business," one post read. "Even death ain't free in this game." At the same time, tensions behind the scenes were hitting a boiling point. And a circle of people still trying to prove who loved Vaughn the most, while the world watched, judged, and speculated. The viral moment from Vaughn's daughter's mother shifted the energy once again. People were forced to step back and reevaluate what they were really arguing about. It wasn't just about Vaughn, Lil Tim, or even OTF anymore. This had become a battle over legacy, over who had the right to speak on a man's name and who was profiting from his silence. And while fans wrestled with those questions, behind closed doors, something major was brewing. Miss Tisha had reportedly been approached by a well-known documentary producer, someone with ties to Netflix, who wanted to help her tell Vaughn's story from her perspective. Not OTF's, not the streets, but a mother's. The project was said to be in early talks, but the concept, raw and personal. Archival footage, unreleased baby photos, personal letters Vaughn wrote her from jail. "I want the world to know the son I raised," she told a friend privately. Not just the rapper they see in videos. Word of this documentary reached OTF fast, and the tension it caused, immediate. Rumors began swirling that Dirk's team had already been working on their own King Von Legacy doc in partnership with a major streaming service. Suddenly, it looked like there were two projects forming, both trying to own the same story. The same name, the same man, and that's when the gloves really came off. Kayla B, clearly upset about the idea of a split legacy, posted again on her Instagram stories, "Y'all trying to monetize my brother's death all over again. And y'all don't even got the full story. Mama or not, there's things she don't even know." That line hit deep. Family airing grievances in public is one thing, but implying your own mother doesn't deserve to tell her son's story. That struck a nerve with fans. They flooded Kayla's DMs with backlash, calling her insensitive, bitter, and money-hungry. But she wasn't alone in that thinking. Quietly, several of Vaughn's old associates, guys he'd come up with, day ones from Parkway Gardens, started making noise too. Posting subtle jabs. IG lives with loaded comments like, "Everybody wanna be Vaughn's voice now, but back then, y'all wasn't speaking." Screenshots of these lives spread fast, especially when one of Vaughn's closest friends, someone fans knew from old music videos, said straight up, "Dirk ain't do enough. He said my brother every song, but when the camera's off, crickets." At this point, Dirk's silence was starting to feel heavier by the day. His fans defended him. "He grieving in private. He don't owe nobody a statement." But others weren't buying it anymore. The pressure to speak on the record was growing, and then just like that, he appeared, unannounced, on Instagram Live. Dirk's face looked serious. No chains, no background music, just him sitting at a desk. "I don't usually do this," he began, "but I ain't finna let y'all rewrite history on my name or on Vaughn's." He didn't yell. He didn't cry, but his voice, cold, calculated. "First off, I been there for his family. Y'all don't see everything. I paid for the funeral. I paid for his people to be straight. That ain't clout. That's love." He went on to explain how, after Vaughn's death, everything got messy. Lawyers, labels, estates, paperwork. It wasn't just do this, do that. It was legal. It was complicated. "But I never turned my back on him." Then came the part everyone replayed. "As for Lil Tim, I don't got no tears for that man. What happened, that ain't on me. That was the streets. Y'all want me to be the villain so bad, y'all forgot who the real enemy was." That line divided the internet all over again. Some said he was right, others said it was a deflection, but either way, Dirk had finally spoken. And for the first time in weeks, OTF fans had something to stand behind. But Lil Tim wasn't about to stay quiet either. The next night, he dropped a surprise track on YouTube titled "Silent Guilt." The cover art? A silhouette of a man standing alone in a cemetery, hoodie up, head down. In the song, Tim's voice sounded strained, low, and regretful. He rapped, "I never meant to be famous for that / I just reacted. Now I'm stuck in the past / Vaughn was quick. I was scared. It got fast / now I live with a target and a mask." The bars were introspective. No disses, no flexes, just pain. People were stunned. Even some of Vaughn's fans had to admit it sounded real. "This ain't the Tim we knew," one fan tweeted. "This sound like somebody finally carrying the weight," but others weren't so forgiving. They called it manipulation. "He tryna make y'all feel sorry for him," one comment read. "Too late for that." Amid all the chaos, someone unexpected entered the conversation: Asian Doll. She had been relatively quiet since her one tweet, but now she was going full throttle. In a Twitter space with over 15,000 listeners, she said, "I don't care what nobody say, Vaughn wasn't just a rapper, he was a father. He was a brother, and too many people using his name like a shield. If you really loved him, you wouldn't be online talking, you'd be moving in silence, making sure his daughter good, his mama good." That space went viral, not just because of what she said, but how she said it. Voice cracking, raw emotion, you could feel her heart break through the phone, and she didn't stop there. "I watched people call me crazy. I watched people steal from his legacy. Y'all don't know the half, but I was there when he cried. When he stressed, when he felt alone." That quote got reposted everywhere. It reignited support for her. Fans who once clowned her started tweeting things like, maybe she was the only one who really loved Vaughn for Vaughn. Some even started tagging her in posts begging her to link with Miss Tisha, saying it's time the women in Vaughn's life come together and take control of his legacy before it's too late. And just when things couldn't get any more intense, news broke that shook the entire internet. Miss Tisha and Lil Tim had reportedly been scheduled to appear at the same private panel discussion hosted by an anti-violence nonprofit in Atlanta. The event was focused on healing and dialogue between victims of street violence and those responsible. A restorative justice summit, the press called it. When the flyer leaked, jaws dropped. Was Vaughn's mother really willing to sit on the same panel as the man tied to her son's death? The internet couldn't believe it. The flyer spread like wildfire: restorative justice in urban music communities, featuring a blurred panel lineup, but two names were clear: Tisha Bennett and Timothy Leaks. It was real. The date was locked in, the venue secured, and the nonprofit behind the event confirmed its authenticity through a short press release. But the question now, how did this even happen? Behind the scenes, sources revealed that the event had been in the works for nearly a year. Organizers had quietly reached out to families affected by rap-related violence, trying to build a space for healing, not headlines. But nobody expected two people so intertwined in King Vaughn's death, his mother and the man accused of pulling the trigger, to agree to be under the same roof, let alone the same panel. Reactions came fast and hard. Some fans called it powerful, brave, even historic. "This could save lives," one post read. "Real closure, real talk, real healing." But others weren't so forgiving. "Ain't no way Vaughn's mama about to sit with his killer," one comment snapped. "That's not closure, that's betrayal." And Kayla B, she exploded. Going live on Instagram within an hour of the announcement, Kayla paced around her apartment, yelling into her phone, "Nah, we not doing this. You do not speak for the family if you sitting with him. That's not my mama anymore. She just chasing cameras now." Her rant shocked fans, not just because of the anger, but the personal nature of it. It felt like more than a reaction. It felt like a fracture. A family being torn in two in front of the world. And it only got worse. Vaughn's cousin, known online as Twin, posted a photo of him and Kayla with the caption, "We don't forgive murderers, we don't forget betrayal." Number OTF for life. The timing made it clear. They weren't just upset, they felt blindsided, maybe even betrayed by Tisha's decision to attend. What was supposed to be a moment of healing had turned into a fresh storm of division. Still, Miss Tisha didn't back down. She broke her silence through a short video posted to her private Facebook page, just her, sitting in her kitchen, no makeup, no filter. "This ain't for cameras," she said softly. "This ain't for fame, this for me. I lost my son, my baby, and all I've been carrying since then is hate, but hate don't heal. It just eats you alive." She paused, then looked straight into the camera. "I'm not going there to forgive, I'm not going there to forget, I'm going there to speak my truth and let God handle the rest." The clip hit differently than anything else before. There was no PR spin, no background music, just grief and strength. Even some of the loudest critics had to admit it was powerful. "You can see her pain," one fan wrote. "She not weak. She just tired." Meanwhile, Lil Tim didn't confirm or deny his attendance publicly, but a leaked phone call between him and his mentor revealed more than enough. "If she show up," he said, "I'ma sit down. I ain't never gonna say sorry enough to make it right, but I'll face her. I owe her that." The anticipation leading up to the summit was intense. News outlets picked it up. TMZ had a crew waiting outside the venue. Twitter was counting down like it was a boxing match, and when the day finally came, security was everywhere. Fans lined the street just to catch a glimpse, and inside, tension you could feel through the live stream. The panel was moderated by a respected community activist who set the tone early. "This ain't for entertainment, this is for peace." First, Tisha spoke. Her voice didn't shake. "I ain't here to fix nobody," she said. "I'm here to stop breaking myself." She didn't mention Tim by name, she didn't have to. Every word hit like a bullet. "People call my son a demon, a savage, but to me, he was a little boy who loved cereal and SpongeBob. And I watched the world turn him into a symbol, then bury him like he was nothing." Silence. And then, for the first time in 3 years, Tim spoke in a room full of people who didn't want to hear him. "I don't expect forgiveness," he said, eyes locked on the floor. "I was scared that night. Vaughn was moving fast. I thought I had to survive, but what I did took somebody's whole world away." He wiped his face, looked up, and added, "I ain't slept a full night since." Nobody clapped, nobody shouted, just heavy air. Then Tisha looked at him, not with rage, not with tears, but something far more human. She nodded, once, slow, and said, "You'll carry that forever." "And I'll carry mine." That one moment was clipped and shared across the internet within minutes. The nod heard around the world, one headline read. Others debated it all night. Was it a form of forgiveness, a truce? Or just a mother recognizing another broken human being across the table? Reactions poured in from everywhere. Asian Doll posted a broken heart emoji with no caption. Kayla B tweeted, "That wasn't my brother's justice. That was a show." Dirk didn't say a word, but fans flooded the internet with mixed reactions. Some called it beautiful, others called it blasphemy. But one thing everyone agreed on, the conversation had changed. No more diss tracks. No more passive-aggressive posts. Now the pain was real, visible, undeniable, and unavoidable. The summit ended without a hug, no apologies exchanged, no resolution signed, but something shifted, and maybe that was the real win. Not closure, but courage. In the following days, reports surfaced that Miss Tisha had received several threats after the event, anonymous messages telling her she was siding with the enemy, calling her a disgrace to her son's name. She didn't respond publicly, but sources close to her said she refused to back down. "She's not scared," one friend told a blog. "She's been through worse. Losing Vaughn was the worst." Meanwhile, Lil Tim was reportedly pulled from public appearances by his team. One insider said he didn't expect the backlash to be this personal. He thought if he showed his face, maybe he could get some peace. But it's worse now. He's scared again. And as for the documentary, Miss Tisha signed the deal. The official project, Still His Mama, was announced just 1 week after the summit. A limited series, executive produced by a major black filmmaker, focused on Vaughn's childhood, the legacy of grief, and what it means to mourn in a world that keeps dragging the dead into debate. The trailer, already in production, and the final frame of the teaser, a silent shot of Tisha walking through a hallway holding Vaughn's baby picture as the world around her explodes in blog headlines. Fade to black. This wasn't just another internet beef. This was deeper. This was raw. This was real-life pain playing out in front of millions. A mother broken by loss, a shooter haunted by guilt, a legacy being pulled in every direction from the blogs, the fans, the friends, and the blood relatives still trying to make sense of it all. Miss Tisha didn't choose this spotlight, she didn't ask to become a symbol, but when the silence got too heavy, she stood up. She spoke, and whether you agree with her or not, one thing is undeniable. She brought truth back into a story that was getting drowned in noise. Lil Tim, maybe he thought his tears would wash away the past. Maybe he thought showing vulnerability would earn him peace. But not all wounds can be forgiven, and not all pain deserves redemption. That's up for you to decide. And OTF, still quiet, still calculating, but now the world's watching. The brand, the loyalty, the silence. It's all being questioned now. So what do you think? Was Miss Tisha right to sit across from the man tied to her son's death? Was Lil Tim's emotion genuine or strategy? Is OTF still honoring Vaughn or hiding behind him? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't hold back. This isn't just about Vaughn anymore. It's about the way we treat our fallen, our families, and the stories we turn into content. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story, it's far from over. And when the next twist drops, you'll want to be the first to hear it. Rest in peace to Davon Bennett, aka King Vaughn. May the truth one day be louder than the rumors.